everyone. How are you? Give me just a second. I'm so discombobulated. So the reason I'm late is because I first I forgot I had a Walmart order coming, and they were supposed to be here and they weren't here. And long story short, not only were they super late, they couldn't read directions and put my order where it shouldn't have been. So I was hungry, so I had to eat something, and I had to get my groceries. So I am here now, though. So thank you for your patience. I do appreciate it. I hope everyone had a good day. Mine was pretty uneventful. I had an appointment this morning, and then I came home and did pretty much nothing. Hung out with kittens for most of the day, and I meant to get laundry done, but unfortunately, it will be there tomorrow. So, thanks everybody. Lisa, thanks for being here. BB. Pookie, thanks for being here. SoFlo, Sinner. Yeah, this case is super sad. And I hadn't heard of it when it happened, and then I just look at my news feed on YouTube or my For You feed, and this case came up, and I was like, wait a minute. These kids are babies. And I understand there's a lot of excitement with Alec Baldwin. Personally, I could care less. He's a celebrity. I did watch a little bit. The prosecution messed up, but I just asked that we keep the comments to this story because an 8-year-old little boy was murdered by his friends, which is really sad. And his friends were 10 and 11 years old. The family of the 8-year-old believes that the parents of the other children knew what happened and chose not to say anything. The initial autopsy was ruled drowning. However, the family fought. They got a great lawyer because this 8-year-old boy was afraid of water. He was afraid of water. And so he and his friends trespassed onto this construction site. I mean, kids do things like that. But what happened next was on purpose. They pushed him into a deep water retention pond on this construction site, and the 11-year-old held him down. And the question becomes, did they know what they were doing? They're 10 and 11 years old. Well, the 11-year-old is the one who held him down. The 11-year-old knew exactly what he was doing. And I don't care if he was 11. He killed this little boy. That's my opinion. Will they be charged as adults? Probably not. I didn't have time to look at Georgia law, but I'm pretty sure that 10 and 11-year-olds can't be charged as adults. So they will probably go to family court. They will be sent to some kind of juvenile detention, if that, until they're 18, and then they will age out, which is really sad because they killed this little boy. Hey, Ken, how are you? All right, so the first thing is a video. This is not an open panel. No, it is not. It is not, but thank you for asking. So this happened back in May of this year. Noah was playing with his friends. Well, I'm going to say neighborhood kids because they weren't his friends, in my opinion. He was hanging out with these other kids on Wednesday, May 15th. They decided to trespass onto this construction site where it happened. He never came home. He was found the following day on May 16th, and the family knew something was wrong because, again, he was afraid of water, and there's no way he would have gotten into the water on his own. And so they hired a legal team, and charges were just filed this past week. So the first thing I have is a video.
Well, tonight we are.
And again, this took place in Wayne County, Georgia. Wayne County, Georgia. The town Jessup, Georgia.
We're hearing from the family of an 8-year-old boy
Hey,
who died in Wayne County earlier this week. Noah Bush went missing Wednesday afternoon in Jessup. Law enforcement unfortunately found his body yesterday in a pit used for construction.
Okay, and I said a retaining pond. It was a pit. In my brain, same difference. It's filled with water.
Materials off of Mill Creek Circle. Our Flynn Snyder has been talking to the child's relatives today.
He tells us more about how they are reacting to this tragedy in an interview you'll only see on WTOC.
So let's go to every extent that you would.
An emotional plea from the family of 8-year-old Noah Bush as they search for answers in the death of their young relative.
There's a lot of Ring cameras, doorbell cameras.
They're asking neighbors in the Mill Creek Circle area to come forward with any home security footage that may have been taken around when the boy went missing Wednesday afternoon.
We just want to make sure that all aspects of this investigation are being analyzed, and hopefully that we come to a conclusion of what happened.
Investigators found the 8-year-old's body early yesterday in water near a construction pit not far from his home.
Which, again, is just awful. One thing I was trying to find, I had seen it on another creator, did a video on this case, and there was Ring doorbell camera footage of Noah walking with these two boys before he disappeared. So they placed these two other kids with Noah. These other two kids came home without him. I don't believe any of these clips that I was able to put together have that in it. But again, I didn't watch the full video, so we may see it, but there was Ring doorbell footage that they found.
Noah's aunt says she was initially hopeful the boy would return, but as daylight diminished, so too did her optimism.
You're watching helicopters swarm the sky. You're watching dogs. You're watching bodies and bodies of people search for this baby. It was just something very, very hard and just unreal to deal with.
Investigators say Noah appeared to have drowned, while his family describes him as athletic.
He would not have willingly went that close to the water.
No. They went to the beach. They couldn't even get him to go in the water. He had a huge terror of water.
While questions and grief consume Noah's family.
Right. And this is where, thank goodness he had a family who knew him and knew that there's no way he would have willingly got into the water on his own.
They remember the 8-year-old as an energetic and giving child.
All him loved to race, play basketball, football. He was an outgoing kid. Little kids play either here in the yard, play right there, and they come back home. He didn't come back home that day.
I got this initial incident report back from investigators. It does not give many details about what happened. The sheriff's office says that's because the investigation is still ongoing and they do not suspect foul play.
And isn't that interesting? So initially, the sheriff said there's no foul play. Turns out there was a whole lot of foul play.
Reporting in Jessup, Flint Snyder, WTOC News.
Little Noah Bush was a second grader at James E. Bacon Elementary School. The Wayne County school system released a statement saying in part, quote, having been a Bacon bee for several years, Noah's passing will certainly have a significant impact on students and staff members at that school. Please be in prayer for Noah's family during this difficult time and support them with love and compassion.
Right now, the drowning.
Pause. Okay, so we're going to go to a few articles because, again, this happened in May of 2024. Just this past week is when the charges were filed, and that's when I learned about this case. So this article is from May 21st, which is 5 days, so about a week after Noah went missing. So Georgia Bureau of Investigation assisting with investigation after disappearance, death of 8-year-old Wayne County boy. Oh, you know what? We might just watch the video because why do they have these ads so that you can't even read the article? Like, I don't understand. Oh, good. I got rid of it. Okay. Several days after an 8-year-old Wayne County boy went missing and was later found dead, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation confirms it is assisting with the case. It's unclear at this time as to the scope of the investigation. It was the night of May 15th when Noah Bush disappeared from the Mill Creek Circle area of Wayne County. Crews searched throughout the night but were unable to find him. The following morning, his body was discovered in a burrow pit after he apparently drowned. At the same time, Wayne County Sheriff Chuck Mosley told WJCL 22 News that Bush took off his shoes and wandered around the, quote, no trespassing area. Mosley says that he eventually stepped into deeper waters where Bush drowned. The school system released a statement following the news of the child's death. So we'll take a look at this and see if they say anything more. That article was wasn't very detailed.
A heartbreaking end to a search for a boy from Wayne County found dead in a body of water. This is in the area of Mill Creek Lane on the north side of Jessup. WJCL 22 News' AJ Sisson joins us now live near the area where police found that young boy.
Yeah, Shannon, a truly heartbreaking story. Right behind me in a borrow pit full of water is where police found 8-year-old Noah Bush dead after he drowned in a no trespassing zone. On your screen is a picture of Noah, who went missing late Wednesday night. Wayne County Sheriff Chuck Mosley says that Bush was with a group of friends before he disappeared. Nearly a dozen agencies helped the sheriffs find Noah overnight. Sheriff Mosley tells us that Bush wandered into this no trespassing zone here.
And notice in the stories we've heard so far, well, especially this one, they're not mentioning that he wandered in there with 2 other kids, possibly more. I know for sure 2 because that's who he was on camera with walking. But notice they're not talking about the other 2 kids who were with him. They're saying Noah wandered around the no trespassing sign
and ended up in a body of water that was too deep and ended up drowning. Now, nearby residents tell me that they say people on ATVs driving into this no trespassing zone, as well as groups of children wandering into here.
Now, AJ, did anyone from the county give you a response?
I did ask Sheriff Mosley for a response and the Wayne County Administrator for a comment, but they declined to comment due to the fact of respect to the family and how close it was to the incident. We did reach out to the Board of Education as well here in Wayne County, and they have not gotten back to our request. After looking at Facebook comments all around the posts on that social media site, it seems that this community is affected deeply by the loss of Noah. In Jessup, AJ Sisson, WJCL 22 News.
All right, AJ, thanks so much. And hopefully that family gets some more answers very soon. This is a developing story, so stay with WJCL 22 News for updates.
Okay. So we're going to move to the next article, which, wow, this is like really, oh my gosh, this is really flashing here. Pause. Okay, so this one moves to May 22nd, and this is more about the family. So now the family is saying something's not right, just like in that first clip we saw. The family knows something's not right. I want answers. Hundreds of Wayne County residents protest the death of 8-year-old boy. Less than a week after the Wayne County Sheriff suspected no foul play in the death of the 8-year-old, residents believe there's a different story to how he drowned. Hey, Remy, how are you? Yeah, Team Brittany, it looks like a small town. Just based on, what I saw, it seems quiet. 8-year-old Noah Bush disappeared on the night of May 15th, and police found his body in a borrow pit in Wayne County the next morning. Residents in Jessup believe the truth has not been revealed. I want answers, said Demetris Bush, Noah's mom. Freaking ads. I want to know what happened to him. I want to know who hurt him. Hundreds gathered at the intersection of US 84 and US 341 at the CVS pharmacy for a peaceful protest. They chanted Noah's name in various different ways. They chanted Noah's name. I think it's supposed to say in. It says is here. Last Thursday, Wayne County Sheriff Robert Chuck Mosley announced Noah had been found near Mill Creek Lane in a borrow pit. After hours of searching, the sheriff believed there was no foul play, and Bush wandered into a deep part of the water. His family does not believe that's what happened. They thought there was no foul play, said Bush's sister, Alasia McClinton. My brother apparently jumped into a creek and drowned, but my brother did not like water. McClinton and many other Jessup residents who knew Noah, as he played sports with many of the children in the town, says he was afraid of the water. So not only his family, but other residents who knew him knew that he was afraid of water. Carissa Welsh, an organizer of the protest, told WJCL 22 News that the boys Bush had been seen with before he went missing had a falling out with Noah months prior. This town doesn't feel the same. It's impacted us all. It's eerie, said Kaylee Klein, an organizer of the protest. I mean, it doesn't even feel like the same town. I'm just going to keep fighting for justice. If we have to keep going to the news media, we will. If we keep protesting, we will. Get an attorney. Whatever needs to be done will be done to make sure that he gets the justice he deserves. The main message from the peaceful protest, justice for Noah. While the protest went on, Mosley said in a statement that along with help from the GBI, they will continue the investigation with the information they've received in the days following Bush's death. Where he was found, there was no apparent foul play. But since then, there's been some information that came forward and forces rumors and innuendos. But we're investigating all of it, Mosley said. He added that GBI finished speaking with all those they believe are involved and that more information should be released soon. They're taking all this time, and my daughter still knows nothing, said Valerie Jernigan, Noah's grandmother and Demetris's mother, in response to Mosley's statement. She knows nothing of anything they're finding. I just want justice for my baby. Oh, I know, Remy, so young. All right, so we're going to just take a look at this because sometimes they have more info in the clips than they do the article.
Hundreds of Wayne County residents gather for a peaceful protest for an 8-year-old who drowned last week. Wayne County.
And again, this is from May of 2024, specifically May 22nd. May 22nd.
Authorities found 8-year-old Noah Bush on Mill Creek Lane in Jessup. As WJCL 22 News' AJ Sisson reports, the community is now looking for answers.
Jessup wants justice for Noah Bush. This is what the intersection looks like now, but hours ago, hundreds of people filling up this intersection, chanting Noah's name, asking for answers for what happened to this town's little boy. What started as a group of dozens turned into hundreds, many saying there was foul play in the death of 8-year-old Noah Bush.
I want answers. I want to know what happened to him. I want to know who hurt him.
The police officers, day one, said that they thought there was no foul play. My brother apparently jumped into a creek and he drowned, but my brother did not like water.
This town doesn't feel the same. It's impacted us all. It's eerie. It doesn't even feel like the same town.
Wow.
Just gonna keep fighting for justice. If we have to keep going to the news media, we will. If we keep protesting, we will. Get an attorney. Whatever needs to be done will be done to make sure that he gets
And they ended up getting an attorney, and things started getting done.
the justice he deserves.
The peaceful protesters called for police to find answers. During the protest, the Wayne County Sheriff Robert Mosley, with help from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, said they will continue their investigation.
Oh, I like this. It says, noise for Noah, louder, fight the power, Noah, peace, love. Oh my gosh, that's really sweet.
Where he was found, there was no apparent foul play. But since then, there's been some information that came forward. And of course, it's rumors and innuendos, but we're investigating all of it.
They're taking all this time, and my daughter still knows nothing. She knows nothing of anything they're finding. They just keep telling her that they're finding things and talking to people, but she's not getting anything.
Some residents are planning a vigil for Noah, but nothing is set in stone yet. But the message Tuesday night was clear, and it was heard: to continue investigation and justice for Noah Bush. And Jessup, AJ Sisson, WJCL 22.
Yeah, exactly. So again, that was in May. We're going to now jump to June. So just about a month ago, June 14th. And this is again from WJCL 22. And this is from June 14th. What happened to Noah Bush? Wayne County boy's family hires law firm to investigate his death. So just about, almost exactly a month after he was reported missing, the family retained legal counsel. Nearly a month. Oh my gosh, this is so nuts. Nearly a month after crews found the body of 8-year-old Noah Bush in a Wayne County borough pit, his family turned to Davis Bozeman Johnson Law on Thursday to launch their own private investigation in hopes of finding answers faster. Why is this taking so long? Asked Frances Johnson, a partner with the law firm. Any mother in her position would want those answers. We just want Noah to have the justice he deserved, said Demetris Bush, Noah's mother. The family trusts the firm to find answers as they are the ones who uncovered the truth with Ahmaud Arbery. As of Thursday, the 24... All right, hold on. Can I pause that? I can't. As of Thursday, the 24-day ongoing investigation by the Wayne County Sheriff's Office is taking too long for the family. Their question is simple. What happened to Noah Bush? Why did the Sheriff's Department rush to judgment without a comprehensive investigation? Who's responsible, and will they be held accountable? The Bush family deserves that, said Mawuli Davis, a partner with Davis Bozeman Johnson Law. That's what we have committed all of our lawyers and resources across our various officers to make sure it happens. Demetris alleges that first responders, the county sheriffs, and other agencies did not answer her questions throughout the search for Noah, and she felt as if the officers were dismissing her concerns. After they found the boy's body, sheriffs would not show his corpse to Demetris. What? So how was he identified? Right? I mean, they usually bring you to the morgue or the medical examiner's office where there has to be a positive identification. Hey, Pooks, how's it going? His drowning never made sense to me because Noah was afraid of water, said Demetris. He didn't deserve for his life to be cut short. He had dreams, he had goals, he had ambitions, and he deserves to still be here. Johnson said that the family chose a private investigation because they felt WCSO's process is too slow. And again, that's Wayne County Sheriff's Office. The law firm did not mention who they will or have hired as their investigators. WJCL 22 reached out to the Wayne County Sheriff Chuck Mosley for comment on the family's decision, but has not heard back as of Thursday evening. However, the law firm believes they will not interfere with WCSO's investigation as they conduct theirs. I am certain the sheriff's office should want anyone and everyone who will help to do just that. We don't intend on impeding their investigation at all. Noah was my whole heart. He was an amazing, motivated, determined little boy. He loved sports, he loved school, he loved hugs. He was just an all-around sweetheart, and we miss him dearly, Demetrius said. And so it's still like, after they found Noah, they would not allow his mom to see him. I mean, maybe on the scene, it's not specific, but that just seems a little not right. Not right at all. All right, so we're going to go back to our news clips. And now we jump to July 10th, which was Wednesday. And so this is where they announced charges against an 11-year-old and a 10-year-old for the drowning death of Noah Bush. BB, that I do not know. Let's see. Let's see. Well, I just did a Google search, but Google did not understand what. Oh, here. Okay, so it says, according to. Nope, that's not Georgia. That's California. I said Georgia, Google. Okay, so here is. I mean, I would think they would. That's a good question. I would assume in order for for Noah to be released to his family, there would have to be a positive identification. Yeah, and oh, what's this? Nope, that's not it. I mean, especially if, they want to have a funeral. Okay, so here's actually, this is from. So this is Google. I changed my search a little bit. It says, in Georgia, the medical examiner's office conducts medical legal death investigations to determine how someone died. In most cases, positive identification is made at the hospital or scene of death, and visual identification is not required. However, if visual identification is necessary, the office may notify the next of kin to view a photograph at the office to establish positive identification. Once identification is established, no photographs are produced, displayed, or distributed. So, according to that, and here's Georgia code. This is about coroners. So this is Georgia code Title 45, Chapter 16 on coroners and death investigations. But again, that's with unusual or suspicious deaths. The sheriff said they didn't suspect foul play, that Noah just happened to jump in a pond of water or a pool of water and drowned. But it does say the coroner, medical examiner, or peace officer shall take possession of any objects, anatomical specimens, or articles which, in his or her opinion, may be helpful in establishing the cause of death. Okay, that's not what I wanted. All right. So according to Google, and they do have Gwinnett County, Fulton County, DeKalb County, Peach County. You know what? Let me put in Wayne County. Okay, that didn't give me what I wanted either. But yeah, small town, they knew who he was. And I mean, even though, I mean, it was nearly a day, but they knew he was a kid. I mean, he was much smaller. And even, he was 8. And, yeah, so I mean, at that, with reading the one thing, if they can make a positive identification, next of kin isn't required.
Death of that 8-year-old boy, Noah Bush from Jessup, is being ruled a homicide. And according to the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, 2 children are facing charges. And listen to this, parents. They are 10 and 11 years old.
And this is the initial clip that I saw. So this showed up in my YouTube feed, and I was like, what is this? And so I decided that we were gonna talk about Noah.
It's just very hard to accept and understand why anyone would do this, especially children. But what is more difficult to understand is why adults would participate in concealing this. And some of them maybe even walked around with the Bush family that night, pretending as if they were looking for Noah, not knowing where he was.
WJCL 22 News is AJ.
And that makes me wonder, because they are looking at, the family wants charges against some of the parents as well, because they believe that some of these parents knew what happened and chose not to say anything, chose to protect their children.
And joining us live from the Jessup Courthouse.
Sure, BB.
AJ, help us put our arms around this, because you have been reporting on this story from the very beginning, that this family's fight for justice started ever since.
And this is interesting. Child drowning homicide, quote, cover up.
Noah died back in May.
And Greg, it has been a tough story to cover. And ever since that night that Noah went missing, the investigation revealed that he left with kids he thought were his own friends. And now we're learning that those kids are responsible for his death.
He walked away with people he thought were friends and trustworthy. It's just very hard to accept and understand.
Answers for the family of Noah Bush, the 8-year-old found dead in a borrow pit on May 16th. Originally, no foul play was involved.
Noah and the 2 juveniles involved in this got into some argument, and an argument led to them pushing Noah into the water and possibly holding his head underwater.
And that is just so grotesque, because they got into an argument. The 11-year-old, and this is where I don't agree with the charge. The 11-year-old is being charged with battery and involuntary manslaughter. it's my opinion that if you deliberately hold someone down in water, that's not involuntary. You know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen.
County Sheriff's Office says the two juveniles are 10 and 11 years.
Yeah, worst cover up ever. And thank goodness for this community and Noah's family, specifically his mom, because she was not going to let it just be no foul play.
Old, both charged with concealing his death and criminal trespass. The 11-year-old charged with simple battery and involuntary manslaughter.
Grateful for the arrests that were made today, but we still have a long road ahead of us because until Noah receives his justice, there will be no peace.
In a statement from Wayne County Sheriff Chuck Mosley, it says in part, the investigation continues as we await the completion of the enhancement of the videos obtained during this process. The Glenn County District Attorney Keith Higgins says that the arrests of these juveniles may not be the end.
We are disappointed that today was not the full justice that we expected. It was not the full justice that this family deserves and that this community has been organizing around and fighting for.
Days after Noah's death, Jessup held numerous protests and rallies asking for justice for Noah because it was his mother that always knew something was not right.
She was absolutely right. This community, they knew Noah and that these were neighbors that did this to him. These were neighbors that participated in the taking of her baby's life. And so we will continue. There's a long road ahead.
Right. And these kids knew what they did. They knew what they did. And I don't know what they did when they got home, but did they just act like nothing happened? They clearly, weren't going to tell anybody because, and did they tell their parents? Did their parents say, don't say anything? Like it'll just go away.
Now, I'm outside of the Jessup courthouse where since 3 o'clock, those juveniles have been in court determining whether or not they will go home or they will remain detained. I'm also hearing from one of the lawyers that was on recess not too long ago that warrants for arrest for parents may be given out tonight. There's nothing certain, however, will be happening tonight, but as anything is released, I'll continue to update you on air and online at WJCL.com. In Jessup, AJ Sisson, WJCL 22 News.
What an absolutely tragic story. AJ Sisson on the story from the beginning, reporting live. Thanks so very much.
Very tragic. Oh, good. It paused. And I did look up in Georgia, you must be 17 years of age to be charged as an adult. Additionally, if it is the last day of a juvenile's 16th year, they can be charged as an adult. So if it's the day before your birthday, you can be charged as an adult. It says in other situations, however, much younger people can also be charged. I'm going to assume okay, so what is this? Georgia statute. Oh, this is a statute that could have made the minimum age 13. So yeah, these kids aren't going to be charged as adults, and they will age out when they're 18, which is really sad. If they even go to jail. I mean, they might have had guilt, but were too scared, or, their parents said, don't say anything. We don't know. But I mean, if I was the 10-year-old, I would make a deal. The 11-year-old is who killed him.
That breaking news coverage out of Wayne County. Family lawyers of Noah Bush announcing today his death has been ruled a homicide. Let's get straight over to WTOC's Simone McKinney, who joins us in the newsroom. And Simone, you were listening in on that news conference that happened just a few hours ago.
That's right, Madeline. The news conference started with lawyers in the family of Noah Bush emphasizing that after 55 days of calls for further investigation, protests from the community members near and far, they were told something they already knew. The death of 8-year-old Noah Bush is being ruled a homicide. Nearly 2 months after Noah Bush's body was found in a construction pit in Jessup, lawyers say his death is being ruled a homicide. The family of Noah Bush and their lawyers met with the DA's office and reviewed evidence for hours to begin to understand what happened to Noah.
Noah Bush was a young man, 8 years old, who loved life, but didn't like the water, was afraid of the water. He walked with some friends to this area, this very dangerous area that is county-owned and unsecured in lots of ways. And they're on notice that people are there all the time. And what we believe is that Noah and the 2 juveniles involved in this got into some argument, and an argument led to them pushing Noah into the water and possibly holding his head underwater.
2 juveniles have been detained. The Wayne County Sheriff's
over a disagreement. Like, it just, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, you know, we had neighbors we would hang out with all the time. And we'd have, you know, disagreements or tiffs or whatever, but we would just go home. We'd be like, we're not hanging out with you anymore, and go home. Like, to even think about hurting, you know, one of my neighbors when I was a kid, like, it just would never cross my mind. Or, you know, did these kids know that Noah was afraid of water? If they were friends, I'm sure he may have mentioned it in past, you know, in conversation. Did they push him in there on purpose to scare him? And then the 11-year-old was like, well, he pissed me off, so I'm just gonna, you know, maybe the 11-year-old didn't think he would die. You know, like, he held him down and then just thought, I don't know. I'm not the 11-year-old. I'm not the 10-year-old. But the 11-year-old is who held him underwater. Right, Team Brittany, we just went home. And then maybe when they wanted to hang out the next day, we'd be like, no, you're rude. Or, you know, you made me mad. We're not hanging out today. Go find somebody else to hang out with. Yep. So, yeah, see, and I don't see that as a small town, 10,000. The town I grew up in was a town of 2,000. So when I think small town, that's what I think is, you know, 2,000. Actually, I think when I was a kid, it was 1,200. So we were just over 1,000. So it's really small.
office reporting that one 11-year-old is going before the court for simple battery, involuntary manslaughter, concealing the death of another, and trespassing. And a 10-year-old is facing the court for concealing the death of another and trespassing.
It was Miss Bush and her family. They went out, they found videos, they have investigated this. Then as they began to feel as though they were hitting a brick wall of some sorts, they reached out to us. Then we became involved. The community has been investigating it. So this has been literally a groundswell call for justice. And
the lawyer said they were able to express their concerns to the Wayne County Sheriff's Office and how they handled the investigation thus far and how they plan to continue handling this investigation.
No mother should have to hire their own law firm. No mother should have to go and beat on neighbors' doors, walk the street, stand on corners to receive what she has received today, which is just a partial accounting of what happened to her son. And
agree. And just quickly to, I looked up involuntary manslaughter because I was, you know, still thinking about that. And in Georgia, so Georgia Code 16-5-3 defines involuntary manslaughter as a homicide that occurs without the intent to kill while committing a non-felony crime or committing a lawful act in an unlawful manner. So, unlawful act, causing the death of another person without intending to do so by committing an unlawful act other than a felony. A lawful act in an unlawful manner, causing the death of another person without intending to do so by committing a lawful act in an unlawful manner that is likely to cause death or great bodily harm. But again, if you hold someone underwater so they cannot breathe, in my opinion, you intend for them to die. So I don't understand why wow. And I just looked at, so punishments for involuntary manslaughter in Georgia include a minimum of 1 year and a maximum of 10 years in prison. So 1 to 10 years in prison, payment of a fine up to $1,000, confinement in state probation detention center for up to 112 months, confinement in a state correctional facility for up to 12 months if the crime was committed by an inmate. Okay, well, that doesn't apply here. Okay, the statute of limitations for involuntary manslaughter against a person older than 18 is 4 years and 7 years for someone younger than 18. Interesting. Yeah, I agree to you, Brittany. No mother should have a murdered child. And I'm wondering why the DA, there could be more to the statute or case law that I don't know, but according to the statute, it says they didn't intend to kill. Well, I'm sorry, if you're underwater and you have to come up for air because you can't hold your breath forever.
And if it happened to Miss Bush, it could happen to you. We expect more.
Exactly.
The lawyers had this message for anyone who has doubted Noah's mother during this time.
Believe Black mothers. Believe Black mothers. She knew in her heart of hearts that her son would not have just wandered off into a pool of water and drowned himself. She knew that in her heart. She never let that go. Her family, her mother, they have been here supporting her, believing with her and knowing. And today again affirms that she was right.
It's been a hard road. Grateful for the arrests that were made today, but we still have a long road ahead of us because until Noah receives his justice, there will be no peace. Thank you.
The lawyers also mentioning that this is an active investigation and it is possible before the end of today there may be other arrests in this case. Stick with us for further coverage on the news at 4.
Okay, so we're gonna move. Yeah, exactly, Tim Brittany. If you hold someone underwater, you know what you're doing. Otherwise, why would you hold them underwater? Right. Like, oh, it just doesn't make any sense. But again, maybe because of their age, there's only certain, I don't know. Actually, let me look up manslaughter, Georgia. Okay, so let me share this just so y'all can see what I'm reading. So it says Georgia has 2 types of manslaughter charges, voluntary and involuntary. So voluntary occurs when someone intentionally kills another person while under the influence of a sudden, violent, and irresistible passion caused by serious provocation. For example, someone who kills another person in self-defense but was the original aggressor could be charged with voluntary manslaughter. However, if there was enough time between the provocation and the killing for a reason to prevail, the jury may consider it deliberate revenge and punish it as murder instead. Okay, so I'm guessing they're saying that this this 11-year-old was not under the influence of a sudden, violent, or irresistible passion caused by serious provocation. Well, there was a disagreement, which he thought was serious enough to, push Noah into the water and then deliberately not let him up for air. Involuntary, again, occurs when someone unintentionally kills another person while committing a non-felony crime or by committing a lawful act in an unlawful way that's likely to cause death or serious injury. I mean, the intent was there to me. That's the difference. Intentionally, unintentionally. It's my opinion that this boy intentionally oh, dang it. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right. So this article is from July 10th. So again, the same day that last clip was from. Death of 8-year-old Georgia boy who drowned in borrow pit ruled a homicide. 11 10-year-old arrested. The death of an 8-year-old Georgia boy who drowned in a borrow pit has now been ruled a homicide. Noah Bush of Jessup vanished from his home on May 16th. The next day, his body was found in water in a construction borrow pit, which is a hole dug deep in the ground to provide fill material for construction projects. Authorities originally ruled Noah's death an accidental drowning and said he took off his shoes and wandered around a, quote, no trespassing sign. The shoes are interesting because did they find the shoes on the side of the pit? Which I would assume the shoes weren't wet, because I was thinking, what if the boys took his shoes off and then just put them there? But again, they could have dried. It had been a day. I'm guessing it was hot in Georgia in May. The shoes is interesting to me too. His family immediately said they were suspicious that Noah's death was accidental because the child was afraid of deep water. The family hired lawyers and a private investigator to look further into Noah's death. The GBI also started to look into the case and interview the children Noah was with that night. On Wednesday, the family's attorneys addressed the news media and said the autopsy revealed Bush's cause of death was drowning and his manner of death was ruled a homicide. The Sheriff's Department in Wayne County has issued accusations for violations of Georgia law, particularly concealing the death of another, battery, and involuntary manslaughter. Wayne County Sheriff Robert E. Chuck Mosley confirmed to Channel 2 Action News that an 11-year-old and a 10-year-old boy have been arrested. Mosley said the 11-year-old pushed Bush. He's been charged with simple battery, involuntary manslaughter, criminal trespass, and concealing the death of another. The 10-year-old was charged with concealing a death and criminal trespass. Lawyers indicated that at least 2 children had been arrested in the case, but didn't identify them or say what they believe happened to Noah. Well, they did say what they think happened to Noah in the press conference. They did say the children were around the same age as Noah and that he did know them. He walked away with people he thought were friends and trustworthy. Lawyers said no adults have been arrested in the case yet, but they would like to see anyone else involved prosecuted. The adults who helped to conceal and obstruct the investigation and who, instead of telling the truth, became co-participants in this tragedy need to be held accountable. The adults involved lied. We won't stop until you're held accountable for your actions. Interesting. So I wonder, in their investigation, the private investigation that Noah's family did, if they interviewed said parents and the parents or adults involved lied. That's very interesting. And if that's the case, they should be charged with obstruction. Oh yeah, that one was crazy, Team Brittany. Yeah, that was awful. The Slender Man. According to a family obituary, Noah was a second grade student at James E. Bacon Elementary School. He was such a smart, loving, kind, shy, but yet so outgoing child whose smile and charm could light up the room. Noah loved basketball and football and couldn't wait to make it to the pros to dunk on LeBron. The investigation is ongoing, according to the sheriff's office. It's unclear if any other charges are possible in this case. Oh, and that was it. Okay, so I have 2 more videos that we're going to watch in regards to, or no, it looks like I only have 1 more video. Looks like I wrote down on my notes, I wrote it twice instead of just once. So this next one is what happens now. What steps are next in Noah's case. And then I do have a couple of stories that are not related to this that I just wanted to show because they came across my newsfeed today and thought it would be interesting.
And for that update happening now tonight on the News at 6, we are continuing to follow the death of little 8-year-old Noah Bush in Wayne County, now ruled as a homicide.
An 11-year-old and a 10-year-old are now charged in connection to that homicide. The 2 children sat in a detention hearing yesterday and had their bonds set. But what happens now?
Our Tyler Mannion has been digging.
Oh, so okay, and that's what I was wondering too. So they go to court, they have their bond set. I'm curious if they met bond. I'm wondering what amount of bond would be set in something like this.
Digging in to find out the answer for that all day, and he joins us now live in the WTOC newsroom.
All right, Tyler, what have you found out?
Mike, Dawn, there's a difference in language between juvenile and adult cases like this. The Department of Juvenile Justice saying here the next step is an adjudicatory hearing, which is the equivalent to a trial for adults. The DJJ's website says witnesses and victims who knew Noah and the other children would be asked to testify. After the evidence is brought forward during that hearing, the judge either adjudicates the juvenile as a delinquent, the equivalent to an adult being convicted of their charges, or the petition gets dismissed. We're still waiting on a date for that hearing, but we do know the charges these children are facing. As a reminder, the 11-year-old is charged with simple battery, involuntary manslaughter, concealing the death of another, and criminal trespass. And the 10-year-old is facing charges of concealing the death of another and criminal trespass as well. The Bush family attorney tells WTOC the next steps they want to see are more charges, specifically for adults who they think had a hand in this. The Wayne County Sheriff's Office, meanwhile, says the investigation is ongoing tonight. Mike, Dawn.
All right, thanks a lot, Tyler. Here is a quick look at how we got to this point in this case. Noah Bush went missing back in May on the 15th. His body was found the next day. Then on May 21st, the GBI confirmed they were assisting in the investigation. Almost a month later, the family of Noah Bush announced that they were hiring a law firm, and the Brunswick District Attorney's Office then told us on June 16th their investigation was almost done. The investigation revealed that Bush's death was a homicide. You can take a look at all of our past reporting on this issue by going to WTOC.com.
We're going to turn now to an in-flight meltdown.
Okay, let me just pause that for a second. So, and I agree. I think it was Team Brittany that had said before, maybe it was someone else, or maybe it was just me thinking it. But like this mom having to hire a legal team to find out what really happened to her son. I mean, I'm curious as to why the sheriff thought there was no foul play. Was it, again, he took off his shoes. Well, where were his shoes? Where were his shoes found? I'm sure hopefully that'll be a question asked during this adjudication hearing that's going to happen with these 2 kids. And I hope that Noah gets justice, because if if, the 11-year-old is the one who allegedly killed Noah, who's to say he won't do it again? I mean, I just don't understand it. Especially at that age. What would lead you to do something like that to another human being at 11 years old? Makes no sense. So I will keep an eye on this. The next two stories are just two that showed up in my news feed today. This one is about an unruly United Airlines passenger. Team Brittany, you gifted yourself. What? Come on, YouTube is wacky. So thank you, Team Brittany, for gifting a membership, and congratulations, Team Brittany, you gifted yourself. Like, what is going on here? And I noticed, the one thing I've noticed is in some lives, those who chat are the ones who are, like, as you're chatting, and then if a membership is gifted, it will go to the person who was chatting just before. And I don't know if that's the same, if it's just, what I've, the lives I've been in, but it seems like that's what's been happening lately. All right, so this is an unruly passenger that was on United Airlines. It's wild. It's wild.
We're going to turn now to an in-flight meltdown, all caught on camera. A woman lashing out at flight attendants restrained by the crew. Ariel Resif has the details. Good morning, Ariel.
Good morning to you, Michael. That flight was supposed to land here at Newark Airport, but it diverted to Orlando for several hours because of that woman's shocking behavior. At one point, she is seen biting a flight attendant's uniform. All the chaos caught on camera. This morning, disturbing video obtained by TMZ of mid-air mayhem. A United Airlines passenger seen biting a flight attendant's uniform.
Like, look at this chick. I mean, kudos to these airline, these flight attendants.
Flight attendant's uniform in the midst of a meltdown. The woman lashing out at airline staff as they attempt to restrain her with zip ties.
And the flight attendant is just the one that got his shirt bit apart. He's just calmly standing there. She's going off about something. Just craziness.
No problem. They know their job. Other passengers recording the incident on their phones as she hurls insults and expletives. Witnesses say she spat and threw punches. The plane en route from Miami to Newark, diverting to Orlando.
The sooner that we can get to conflict and try to de-escalate that, the more likely that we are going to be successful in de-escalation.
People on board applauding as the woman was escorted off by authorities. Orlando police saying the individual was transported to an area hospital for evaluation. No arrest has been made. United Airlines telling ABC News, our flight attendants work to de-escalate the situation and protect other customers. We're grateful to our team for their professionalism. And it's unclear what caused that outburst. The FAA is saying the number of unruly passenger incidents has actually dropped by 80% since its peak in 2021, but there have still been nearly 900 so far this year. George?
900 too many. Okay, Ariel, thanks very much.
So crazy. And I've decided I'm gonna end it on that note, just because it's a serious story, but one that has a somewhat good ending. I'm curious if the woman will be charged with assault. She bit the flight attendant, and or at least have to pay for a new shirt for his uniform. Yeah, chicken or fish equals outburst. And clearly, thankfully, they brought her to the hospital for evaluation. Who knows? It could be anything. But causing a scene like that and then having, your flight diverted because of she was in crisis. She was in crisis, and thankfully, the other passengers were calm. I didn't hear anyone else, you know, yelling or trying to, you know, instigate. So, I mean, it could have been a lot worse in my opinion, but thankfully the plane landed safely. She was escorted off safely, and she also received a round of applause. So, thanks everybody for being here. I'm really glad that you were able to hang out with me to talk about Noah, and I am hoping that he will receive his justice, and that these two boys who are responsible, well, one of them who was responsible for his death, the other was a bystander who chose not to say what happened. He chose to keep quiet about where Noah was, knowing that community members were looking for him. Team Brittany, see that? See, that's what happens. So, Team Brittany, thank you again for gifting a membership, and Pookie, congratulations. So cool. All right, y'all. Well, thanks again for being here. I appreciate it. Make sure your notifications are on, because you never know when I will be going live. I'm not planning anything tomorrow. But again, you never know. One thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of this live is Marcella Chidester, the woman who drove drunk into a building that was holding a children's birthday party. She was arraigned today, and her preliminary hearing is going to be, I believe, August 23rd. Yes, August 23rd. I had to check my calendar because I put that in there. There wasn't a whole lot on her arraignment today, but I did see that her trial, she is set to go to trial, and the preliminary hearing again is on August 23rd. So if there are no delays, I will be covering that. So with that being said, I hope all of you have a great rest of your night. Hey, Thunder, thanks for being here. Have a great rest of your night. And if I don't see you on these YouTube streets, I will see you all on the flip side.